Hey guys, this is Ray with Infinity Personal Training, and today what I want to discuss is the topic of organic versus conventional food. So we get this question a lot. I guess the answer is it really depends on where you're at, because I'm a proponent of organic foods only because a lot of times they are higher quality, but it really comes down to how that, the source, so that farmer or whoever the company is producing the food. But things we do know, I'm not sure if you've heard of things like the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, you can kind of Google that. But things like berries, I know like apples, those things they tend to be heavily sprayed. So anything that's kind of sweet, most of the time a lot of your fruits are heavily sprayed with pesticides because they're more, like the sugar is more attractive to insects and bugs. So those types of things you usually are safer buying organic. Now, if you're coming from a place of like not eating vegetables or fruits at all, like I would literally say, who cares about it? Because at the end of the day, we'd rather you take steps in the right direction, right? So if you can't afford organic, because I know places can be expensive for certain things, I would just buy conventional stuff and try and buy as much organic stuff as you can. But what I will say is things like meat. So your meat and like milk. So I would say animal products is where you want to start in terms of going higher quality, because we do know, like, if this is stuff you can research, certain companies do treat the animals a specific way, and they inject and put things in the animals and how it's processed, right? And also how those animals are fed. It makes a difference. So like the easiest one I can give you as an example is cows, for instance. They're supposed to eat grass. Nowadays, most of the cattle farmers are feeding them corn to fatten them up faster so that they can go to slaughter quicker and make it to the supermarket much quicker, right? And so they produce more meat. But when a cow eats corn, their fat structure is different, right? Just think about yourself. When we eat corn as humans, we also tend to gain weight. When you eat green vegetables, you don't, right? But research shows that the cows, basically they're going to produce a lot more omega-6 in their tissue structure, so it's actually more inflammatory than a grass-fed cow. So a grass-fed cow, even though it does have, depending on who you talk to, the taste may be slightly different, but the grass-fed cow has more omega-3s and more CLA, which are, there's pros to those things. We know omega-3s contribute to, they're anti-inflammatory, so they bring inflammation down. And then, like I said, your omega-6s and 9s, they actually are more inflammatory than the 3s. And we know we have deficiencies rampant. So things like that, and then also, toxins. Toxins are stored in fats, right, or fat. So what we like to tell people is like milk, is very controversial. 9 times out of 10, we try and have people eliminate it for like 3 weeks, see if they have a reaction to it. But I like to tell people, if you can buy high quality milk, then I would suggest buying like full fat or low fat milk. If you can't buy high quality, I would go low fat, and that's only because I'd rather take the risk of basically having a little bit more carbs, because low fat milk tends to have more sugar. But your full fat milk has a lot more fat, right? But if it's coming from a cow that was injected, treated, right, they have a lot of toxins in their system, the milk will tend to have more stuff and cause more reactions for most people. So I'd rather you go low fat milk. That's my opinion, just based on knowing how toxins are stored, and then also personally, anecdotal evidence. I can, tell you, having milk, different qualities will affect people in different ways. Like I've actually tried lightly homogenized milk from some of the farms here in Texas. Totally different reaction from something compared to like a milk from like a Starbucks or something like that. So the quality does matter. So like I said, I would start with your meats. From there, fruits are probably more important, and then certain vegetables are more sprayed than others. So those are things you'd have to look up. But what I will tell you is don't pay attention to those studies, because there are some studies that are a little bit bogus, where they basically they were comparing things like polyphenols in the vegetables, right? And to not overcomplicate this, essentially they tested things that were not based on the thing being organic. Those things are a function of the dirt and the air, so they're going to be at the same level in organic and conventional no matter what. So the study is actually bogus, and it was meant to persuade you to say like, organic is really not worth it, right? But if they were to test things like vitamins, minerals, enzyme activity, right, it would most likely be higher in organic. Unfortunately, nobody has funded those studies because there's food interests and things like that. But I would definitely, especially if you know the source, if you can go to things like farmers markets and things like that, and you can talk to the people and you know how they're farming and they're not using any toxic chemicals and things like that, I would definitely vouch for organic as much as you can. All right, so hope that was helpful, and we will see you guys next time.